Let's begin having the conversation. I want to introduce my partner in this, who has, without whom I don't know that I'd be up doing this today. And she is Rayona Sharpnack, and I think many of you who are involved in this know her. She founded the Institute for Women's Leadership, I got it backwards, in 1991, and this is a groundbreaking organization, go back to 1991, in the work that it and she has done, and this was in the US, in Canada, and in Australia. She's been involved in it, and she'll tell you more of this. She's been involved in education, in sports, and in business. She has helped numerous Fortune 500 companies and government organizations find the right path when it comes to driving the issue of women in leadership posts and helping women succeed in ways women had not, in areas women had not achieved in the past. She's been highly recognized by many institutions in the media. She's written, latest book is called Trade Up, 5 Steps for Redesigning Your Leadership and Life from the Inside Out. And she's also one of the several featured authors of the groundbreaking book, Enlightened Power, How Women Are Transforming the Practice of Leadership. So as a student of the game, I'm really interested in hearing from Rayona this afternoon.
Not a stranger to standing before rooms full of women and talking about leadership, but today's particularly exciting because I'm here as co-founder of Gender Allies with my colleague Rayona, who you'll meet later, and our other colleague Robin Terrell, who's in the new Czech Republic, but with us in spirit. And our vision has been from the beginning to bring the issue of gender partnership up to the light of day so that we can see for the future of our organizations and for our communities that the sustainability of our society is really only possible through the full partnership of men and women. So we're going to ask people to introduce themselves today using a certain protocol. So I'm going to introduce myself using, there we go. My name is Rayona Sharpnack. I'm co-founder of Gender Allies. And why gender partnership matters to me is because I have a daughter and we'll have grandchildren and we'll have great-grandchildren. And I want every one of them to have the full opportunity to make a difference with their lives. So it's a different way to kind of introduce ourselves than our usual name, rank, and serial number. But we're actually going to ask you to take a minute to just look at that and say to yourself, why gender partnership matters to me? Why do I say it matters to me? Now, here's the challenge. We're actually going to have you say it to the people at your table, but we're just going to have you say it in one sentence. This is the kind of mixture of thoughtfulness and meaningful dialogue that we want to have for this, is that we really look across sectors, across issues maybe related to our sector, and really talk about what are the deeper issues related to gender partnership that haven't been tackled collectively. So I have the enviable job today of being the conductor of the symphony. So this is the woodwinds, and these are the percussionists and the brass, and so everyone's got their instrument today. And my job will be to bring us together kind of in a overall combination of insight, deeper thinking, deeper looking. One of the things about these gatherings that has happened over the years, and I've been to a number of them given I started 25 years ago, is we call it the women talking to women about women phenomenon. And then up from there, which is, we have a problem, we should fix it, et cetera, was, okay, some people are actually starting and working on that and so forth, and so we should go through best practices, and we should find out who's doing what in the marketplace. And the Department on the Status of Women did a wonderful event in January where they have 10 companies that are really doing a great job at best practices. But that only gets us so far, and I want to use a metaphor in the room, if you will. How many of you would like to be more physically fit? Raise your hand if you'd like to be more physical. I always love it. So many hands go up. Okay. Now, the question is, how many of you know what to do to be more physically fit? Raise your hand if you know. Exactly. I rest my case, Your Honor. So if just knowing better meant doing better, then we would all be more fit and all that. And if just knowing that gender equity is inequity, hi Venda, gender inequity is fundamentally wrong and also economically a disaster, then of course we would all take up the charge and go tackle it. Except that there's something more fundamental that we have to deal with if we're going to have a sustainable change across any part of our society. And that work is the work of gender allies that we do with individuals and organizations about getting to the deeper context, you could say the contextual roots of what makes people, how are people wired is another way to say it. You know, what's the hardwiring for human beings, and how is it that 7 billion people on the planet are all kind of fundamentally wired the same way, even though each one of us is unique. Each one of us has a thumbprint that is unique and discernible from everyone else on the planet. But then there's our sameness, and that sameness is what we want to look at today. If we could go, there we go, there's the slide. You're amazing. By the way, Virginia Dawson is absolutely a rock star. I just want to, I mean, she's really the puppeteer. Jim and I are the marionettes. Is that the right name for the little puppets? Yeah, she's a puppeteer. So anyway, this notion of context, I'd like to walk through this model with you so we can have kind of a shared language, much like mathematics is a shared language. No matter where you go in the world, mathematics is mathematics, and it doesn't require a special kind of dialect or translation. Well, the work of context is like that, in that if you think of each of us individually, human beings are contextual beings. We operate from context, we operate from meaning. We look at the world through a series of filters related to how we were raised, what beliefs we have, what traditions we have, what our socioeconomic condition was, our gender. All of that informs the contextual reality that we operate inside of. And that tapestry of context is what gives rise to our behavior. So our actions, what we do and don't do, is a function of the context. So let me grab a note here because I have some examples to give you to relate to this. So if I have a context that, gee, this gender inequity issue is a pretty big issue, I'm just one person among 7 billion, I can't make a difference in something that big. That would be a contextual belief, that I'm just one person, I can't make a difference. And so that would affect what things I would take on, what I would do or what I would not do, or what I would say or what I would not say. And then that would affect the impact that I have. And some of that impact would be desirable and some of that impact would be undesirable. So in the same way, organizations have context, only it's called culture. And there's a culture within organizations, and you're going to hear about some wonderful ones today. But the culture is kind of the collective belief system about how we are as an organization, if you want to make it here, how you need to be, and what we're committed to for our future. So culture is very common. A lot of people understand that, work on that, and so forth. But if you put these two together and you start to look at, okay, I'm an individual with a context, a belief system, a fundamental operating system about how I see myself, how I see my role in the world, how I see others, and all of that gives me the impact that I can have. But I'm inside a larger ecosystem, and in these larger ecosystems called organizations, so whether it's governments or academic institutions or corporations or emerging businesses, there's a culture that I operate inside of. And you could say that organizational culture trumps individual context, that how you are in that ecosystem gets shaped by the culture. So the conversation we wanted to have today was much more of this contextual dimension to change. Like, what is it going to take for each of us in this room, and we're the ones that showed up, so what is it going to take for us? What is it going to take contextually for the culture of organizations to change such that the end result or the impact is full and equal gender partnership? So we want to do that deeper tissue work together. And so as we selected panelists and interviewed the panelists and designed the breakout groups, it's all intended to ask you to take a deeper look at you and take a deeper look at your organization. You know, what really is it going to take to have sustainable change in one of the most fundamental issues of our time? So this full partnership of men and women, if we don't have some deep contextual change, will continue drifting the way it's drifting. And I looked at the calendar today, I said, it's 2014. I was having this conversation back in the 70s, and many of you in the room are kind of going, I know, I'm old. So we got to wonder, what are we at work on, or what are we not at work on, that we need to be at work on to shift the collective conversation about the full partnership of men and women. So thanks to Jim's leadership and the Bay Area Council and our partnership with Department on the Status of Women, we have a venue here to start a culminating conversation of which this is the next step. So we're moving towards shifting the Bay Area region as the place in the United States, if not the world, where gender partnership is the imperative, and it's an economic imperative. Yes, it's a moral imperative, but we don't even have to fall on that sword as much as we have to see what are we facing as a region that can only be taken care of, things like the Bay and the rising seawaters, that's going to take the best of everybody. It's going to take 100% of our talent. It's going to take every man and woman in the conversation being listened to, being courageous, being bold about how we need to change. And that can only happen if we change our ecosystem so that that's the net result, is that every voice is heard and honored and respected as we look to solve these big problems. So give you a couple examples of like an organizational culture could be, some companies are gender partnership is the right thing to do, or women's equality is the right thing to do. As a region, we could relate to this as, well, you know, that's a women's issue, and as a man, I'm here to help. You know, men like to fix things, so I'm here to help you fix this thing. It's just wrong. All of that would be kind of inherited cultural context that would be insufficient for what we want to do today. So I'm going to ask us to be on the hunt, to be on the lookout for what are the trade-up contexts, what are the reinvented contexts, whether they be individual or cultural, that moves us from I'm one person that can't make a difference to anything I do will make a difference. And from gender partnership is the right thing to do to our whole organizational strategy depends on the full partnership of men and women. And as a region, to move from it's a women's issue where men are here to help to the region's economic future will be determined by how we leverage 100% of the talent. So that's our work today, and that's why this is a unique conversation. It's not just another meeting where we're going to, introduce you to best practices, but we're going to ask you to think deeper and to think together. And together we're all smarter than any one of us, so what can we do to harvest the wisdom of this room? And we've got a few capture tools. So one of the things you'll see on your table is there's some Sharpie pens. Actually, I don't have one. I should have a little demo. Sharpie pens and Post-its. And the paper that's on the doors over there into the break room and where we'll be convening for breaks and so forth, we'd like you to capture insights, capture ahas, capture new kinds of questions to get at this contextual dimension of this issue, and then post them up there as we go throughout the day, throughout the afternoon. We're also going to ask you to practice a certain discipline called be interested, not interesting. Be interested, not interesting. So to kind of take the pressure off of I need to, demonstrate that I know something here, to be curious a little bit longer, like what do other people see that you don't see? What about this issue is stuck in a particular place that we haven't been able to free it up in our organizations? And we've got some fantastic leaders in the room. The people that are on the panel are among the best in the region to talk about these issues. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room is, where are the men? So we've got men of quality who are not threatened by women of equality in the room today, and I'd like to hear it for those. And then we have a few 100,000 other ones that aren't here that we need to get here. So it's all about our work together, and it's about finding out what are those contextual shifts that need to happen that make this as important for men as it is for women. So I'm going to ask you to capture your thoughts, your insights on the Post-its. I won't let you go on bio breaks until you at least write down one. That way we'll make sure we'll get them. We're going to capture those, transcribe them, and then send them out to you. Okay? All right, a couple other things. Oh, so this is one of my favorite quotes in my entire life. This is from an Aboriginal woman at the 1985 UN conference. And what she said was, "If you've come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you've come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let's work together." So that for me is the spirit of this. This isn't, anybody helping anyone out. It's like our liberation, our future, our economic abundance in the region is dependent upon the work we do here.